Hello and welcome to the Winners Find a Way show. I am your host, Trent Clark, and I am a serial entrepreneur, a CEO of Leadershipity, and I am the president currently of EO West Michigan, and wrote a book called Leading Winning Teams, of course, with Wiley. Super excited that hit the market last year. And probably most people know me because I spent over 12 years in professional baseball coaching in 3 World Series. And this is a big commonality of my guest today and a super good friend of mine, Joel Steele, who also has donning that world championship ring with the Denver Nuggets behind him, as he is a owner in the Grand Rapids Gold in West Michigan here. And great to see you, Joel, man. How are you?
I'm thrilled to be here, Trent. It's always great to see you in person or even like this. And yeah, look, you've got 3 rings. I have 1, so you win for sure.
Well, listen, yours are coming. Like mine are probably over. You're still in this sports mogul work. You're buying into teams. So who knows what's next for you, man? I'm sure a maybe soccer title, maybe even a Premier League title. Like who knows, right? So we don't know our future. So it's super exciting. And I got to tell you, man, I'm so into the Premier League now because I'm a huge Ted Lasso fan. And the last time I spoke in London, I'm like, oh, I'm speaking on Friday. So, of course, I'm staying on Saturday and watching. I watched Arsenal and Man City play, and amazing. Nice. Ended in a tie. Other than that, whatever.
Yeah. You'll be lucky if you get like a 1-0 game. It's amazing. Best in the world against other best in the world. And that's what I love about pro sports. It's the best of the absolute best, just next level. And just watching these players just do what they do. It inspires me all the time, no matter what sport it is. It's amazing. Even, just being at the US Open, just watching these people. Yeah. They've got a racket that I can buy. They've got the balls that anyone can buy, but what they do with it, it's next level, just unreal.
Man, I got to tell you, I love the U.S. Open. And by the way, for people who don't know, this is the #1 attended sporting event in the world every year. They bring, I think, 500,000 people a day for 14 days. So you get 7 million people. The only thing that outshines this are the Olympics and the World Cup, of course, which is only every couple of years or 4 years or whatever. So, very different. And I think, we all watch TV tennis. And when you go in person, you realize, holy cow, these kids are doing it at a whole nother level. I call them kids because I'm old now and I'm not playing anymore. And I mean, it is fabulous in person.
Yeah, it really is. So that was a great event. But, for you, baseball, me, basketball is my most, that's my go-to. It's the sport I'm most passionate about. Soccer, I've gotten behind that. But again, any sport, even I've been getting into women's basketball like so many people because you're seeing greatness hit a new level. And it brings out other, levels of competition that you haven't seen before. And so what we're seeing in the WNBA, it's something I would say we've never seen before. We're seeing a Jordan-esque type talent take an entire sport in a league and elevate it. So very cool time to be alive as far as sports.
Well, and I think didn't Bird and Magic and Kareem, they elevated the league, right? There's a time where you got these players and they're maybe this generational thing. And you're like, man, I as a kid, I grew up, Celtics Lakers series, right? It's man, this was for the whole shebang and it was incredible, right? And so I love the way you said that. Greatness draws interest. We're intrigued by it. We want to know more. We want to be near it. Is that fair?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. We want it to rub off on us. We want to show our kids, hey, this is what greatness is. And you can do this. You can do this by having the best lemonade stand ever, or putting a racket in your hand, or whatever it is. But when you talk about Bird Magic, you're 100% right. They not only elevated the league, they saved the league. The NBA was a disaster. If anyone really followed the league, they were not doing well. People were doing drugs. People were drinking in the locker room. It was just a kind of a badlands of basketball. And then it became about talent. You got to see this guy play. You got to see that guy play. You got to see these guys play against each other. And of course, that's what brought it to ultimately the next pass the torch type person in Jordan, and then eventually Kobe and LeBron. And today we have so much talent in the NBA and so many players that have moved. It's just so exciting kicking off soon another season, because anything can happen. And that's what we saw last year in the NBA. Anybody had a chance to win, even play-in teams. So competition is fierce.
Yeah, it's much like hockey, that hockey's been recharged by the speed of these kids now, right? Like, I mean, Connor McDavid is, he's the fastest skater I've ever seen. And I mean, last year we did this little Nations Cup where they put the 4 nations that primarily the most of the players. There wasn't a Russia team, which would have been really good. But these 4 teams came together with these groups, and it was just unbelievably great hockey. And you just see that the game is changing because the speed's changing it. And I look at Steph Curry and Caitlin Clark, and the range has changed the game because, you and I, when we were kids, we don't defend 27 feet from the basket. We're like, you throw up that crap all day long, man. You got no chance, And now it's like, they're knocking these things down like you and I are hitting layups, man. And I'm like, This is crazy. Like, this is just and off angle, off balance, falling away. It's like, what is going on? It's a new level of shooter, and man, it's really made the game a lot of excitement.
It really has, and for me, it kind of ties into one of my key messages, and that's anything is possible. So, you look at a guy like Steph throwing the ball up from half court. Even when he was a kid, there's so much footage of him being around the Hornets in the league. He was throwing up the ball, thinking this guy's not going to be anybody. We'll take a chance on him in the NBA. Not the first pick, but, Golden State gave him a shot, and he changed the game. And I think it all started with him believing that he could do that he can do it his way. And he took advantage of a certain skill that he had. And again, didn't just change his game, didn't just change the league, but he changed the world as far as basketball, because now you see, of course, everybody heaving up these shots, but they know it's possible because he did it. And when you see something, you believe it's possible. And for a lot of people, they struggle, though, to find that belief. What can I do? I don't know what to do. I want to be good at something, but what? So people like Steph, they show kids and show people, hey, he did this. I can do that, or I can do something different. But again, you don't see this a lot where people do something different because, Trent, it's hard to break through and do something new or do something differently. But when you get through that barrier, it just unleashes the floodgates.
Yeah, I think it's a Roger Bannister type of moment, which we know is the 4-minute mile guy, right? Like, I mean, no one can run a 4-minute mile. It's not humanly possible. And then he's like, oh, yeah, I just did it. And then I think 66 other people did it within a year, right? Like no one could do it in the world until Roger proved it was possible. And then 66 did it, right? So it was, that's an amazing moment. We have so much in common, Joel. I love this. You're a New Jersey kid, small college, Stockton College, met your beautiful wife there, now 21 years, have 2 children that are getting those late teens. You're about to be empty nesters, man. Like you are, you're on the path here. Of course, also together, commonality. We're both members of the Entrepreneurs Organization. We're business owners. You had Steele Financial, and still have Steele Financial Solutions, which is a wealth group, and amazing. And of course, I'm author of Winning Teams. You're author of Life Switch, which is an incredible book just releasing now. Man, let's talk a little bit about that and where that came about.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I feel like everyone's got a book these days, but I was telling you offline here, I loved your book, Trent. When you gave it to me, I dug in right away because I was interested in, again, you were around greatness. You were in pro sports. You got those championships. You're part of them. I loved your book. I read the whole thing. I took notes. I told other friends about it. It's on my bookshelf because you had a lot of good messages, as did people that contributed to your book. And I don't want to lose that. So I know that anytime I'm looking for inspiration or an idea or something I thought was really useful, I grab the book, I open it up, and I've got page numbers written down and I've got pages folded back. So I think books are sort of a treasure trove if you use them the right way, not just read them and throw them on a shelf or God knows what you do with them. But yeah, I wrote Life Switch because I just felt compelled to give back. I learned a lot in my life. I took the long, hard road. Not on purpose, but that's just what happened. From being a young kid to a young adult, I've had some ups and downs, extreme failures and extreme successes in multiple industries. And I just started to realize that there was a lot more of what I've done that I found success with that I could help a lot of other people find success and at least save them time, save them money, and save them probably a lot of misery. Because as much as we want to go from point A to point B, there's a lot of this going on. And sometimes it's really far that direction. And when you don't quit, you give yourself a really good chance of succeeding. But a lot of people, they quit just before this happens or just before that happens, or they start to become their own worst enemy and fill their mind with doubt. And I talk about the fact that I think doubt is our kryptonite. You know, you think about Superman and Clark Kent, there was one thing that he struggled with, that was the kryptonite. And that's what doubt is to us. When we don't believe in ourselves, who the hell else is going to?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's so powerful. That is a huge message right there. If you get nothing else from Life Switch, get that message, right? You know what? Let's talk about our books, because what we've both done is we wanted to create, because someone poured into us at some time and we wanted to give back. Like, well, I've had these life experiences and I need to share those things to help others reach their potential. And man, if there's one thing right there out of that book, but I want to hone in a little bit on what you just said about books, books are great reading. Executing on what you learn is a whole nother thing. I intentionally put in something I ran off my TEDx, which is the pain exchange, talking about the discipline of doing. And what Joel took to heart was Joel did it like he does, and he went through the exercises, and he's got those exercises of the pain exchange, and he's earmarked those areas to go back. Like, hey, I leaned in and learned something about me and my journey by doing that exercise, and now I need to go back to that regularly and know, like, hey, we don't go running away from our goals, right? We drift. And whenever there's a drift, Joel just directed a way that if there's a drift, I can return to that because I've done the work and I know where I want to be. And so I think that is brilliant, Joel. So when we talk about Life Switch, I tell a lot of people about leading winning teams, don't read the book, study it, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's a study in your leadership, how you're going to lead other people and how you're going to go on that journey. So in Life Switch, talk to us a little bit about the title and how we can extract the information.
Yeah. And what you just said, Trent, about your book, about studying it, with Life Switch, you're right. You don't want to read it. You want to live it. You want to live these things. And what I talk about in the book is, I broke it down. It's because a life switch is a thing. A life switch is something we all have. It's the ability, the mechanism to live on or off. And you can compare that to light and dark. That's why on the cover, you've got the dark into the light. But we all have this switch, and it's in our brains. And there's so many components that feed into it. But ultimately, that life switch thing leads to an experience. And those are called life switch moments. Some people might call them an epiphany. You hear people even talk about it post-game on the podium in sports. The switch went off, and I have a saying with the life switch, when it's on, it's on. Because when you really are on and electrified, and that's actually what you feel, actually electricity running through your body, you feel like you can do anything. It's an adrenaline rush. And I have some great anecdotal stories in my book, things I've done, weights I've lifted, things I've achieved that I didn't really think was possible, but I didn't really think about it. I just freaking did it. And that's the thing. We're capable of so much. So I talk about all the life switch moments I had, but the cool thing is you and all your listeners and people out there, everyone's had life switch moments. But just like electricity, and think about wiring in your house, if you don't connect the wires correctly, you're not going to get the power. You can flip the switch all day, but if the wires aren't appropriately connected, the light's not coming on. It's kind of like with Clark Griswold and the Lampoon's Christmas movie, right? He's trying to get this amazing display on. He put all the work in. He's got all these holiday lights and fixtures and ornaments out there, but he's missing the power source. He can't flip the switch on because of what happened, of course, in the movie. And in life, people, they don't connect it. They don't understand that, hey, this moment I had as a kid, this moment I had as a young adult, this moment I just went through last week that sucked. These are connectable moments that could really put the light on. And then you have to keep it on. That's the thing. I talk about it. A lot of us get motivated, inspired, excited. Maybe it's from having a great workout or conversation or whatever it is. but you need to keep it on, right? A bulb can burn out. Any bulb will burn out at some point. So you have to grab onto that and keep stringing from sort of one life switch moment to the next. And again, you feel it. It's not just doing, it's feeling. Like doing this book made me feel more alive than anything. I would get no sleep at times, and it did not slow me down at all. If I don't get sleep when I go into the office to talk about stocks and bonds, I get tired, I get bored. It's kind of same old, same old. But talking about this, thinking about the people I can help turn their life switch on, and they can go out and do something amazing. And maybe they'll come back to me years later and say, hey, you said this, or I heard that, or I read that. That's what I'm looking for. It's not the money from it. It's those kinds of comments. And I've seen it happen before, where people would show up randomly years later. Hey, I was at one of your talks and you said this, and it really resonated, and it really helped me get from here to here. That's the main compensation I'm looking for from this book and all the talks that I do based on the book.
I love it. I love it. And, I have one of these life switch moments. I'm going to use an example in my life. Like, I put certain hats on, and when I put my hat on, it's like my game hat. Like, I know it's time to play. And I've done this from the time I was, 10 years old, right? It's game day. Oh, Dad, I run out and I get my game hat on at 8 a.m. because I'm ready for tonight's 7 p.m. game, right? And I can't wait because it's baseball day, right? And so I do the same thing. I'm going to go do a talk. Like, I've got game hats. I've got to go consulting. I'm going to come on Winners Find a Way and do the show. I want to be present. I put my game hat on, and that is my switch. Like, It is time, man. This is a life switch that I've got to consider. Everyone's counting on me. I am responsible. I am responsible for my results. And I go, oh, Joe, hell, I'd like you, Joel, to hold the show up because I'm tired today, Joel. I can't make it. I can't ask other people to do for me what I have to do myself. I have to be responsible. So I throw that life switch and get ready. And so I really appreciate that message in the book, because I think a lot of people have that challenge in their life.
Yeah, they really do. It's really getting up for that event. So like you said, that you kind of put your uniform on, you put the hat on, gets you, physically, yes, but it's ironically on top of your head, into your brain, and you're ready to go. And you can kind of liken that to, I know summer's over, but you can liken it to a boat, right? A boat sits in the water, it's down, right? The water's up, and it just can't really move a whole lot. But when you get a boat going and moving, what does it do? It rises above the water. Yeah. And it just flies by with a lot of speed and smoothly on. It's planing, right? People need to figure out, how the heck do you get from the day-to-day monotony to get kind of on the surface and almost kind of like a walk on water. But when you find what you're passionate about and what your purpose is, and then you understand the potential that you have that most people aren't really maximizing, and they're not maximizing it because the higher your potential is, you realize it can keep getting better, right? Like pro sports, we talked about how it keeps getting better. Guys are more athletic, doing amazing things. Yeah. That's what people need. If you're not passionate about what you're doing and aren't excited to get out of bed, something's missing. Yeah. And everybody has passions. Everybody has things they're passionate about. It might be obvious. It might be something where you haven't even had time to think about it. But if you're not taking 15 minutes a day to get off the internet, get off the breaking news, and just look in the mirror, look within, right? What makes you tick, right? Something ticks for everybody. Everybody has things that they love. It might not make any sense, but there's something there. And when you're passionate about something and you're good at something and you can marry those two together, that's when you can get above the surface and just glide and hit the gas, have fun. And that's what we're talking about. That's what Life Switch is all about. Lighting up not just your world, but other people around you.
Well, and I also want young folks to lean into, I believe that God gives everybody talents. Like, you are born with talents. Like, you've been given things. And it's usually by the time you're 10, people are like going, oh my gosh, Diane, I just love the way you dribble the basketball. You're incredible. You're such a great teammate and all these things. And they're, oh, you're so good at math. It's amazing how you can help the other kids. And this is coming so easy to you. I mean, people lean into those superpowers. Like, those are God-given gifts, like that they're given to you, in my opinion, to share with the world. Not, right. Oh, I'm really good at math, Joel, but I don't want to help you because I want to be the best ever, and I don't want to tell everybody about my super great theories.
Right.
Wait, what? Like you could solve a total challenging equation that the rest of the world's never figured out, but like I don't want to share it. Like, no, no, this is what you're here for. And I want people to get that. And what I want people to know one thing about you that I love about you that most people don't know. And that is that you have never sworn in front of your children. And as a father of 5 kids and growing up around a lot of locker rooms in my life, I would love to say that it was true for me as well, and it is not. And they hear it, and my kids get on me too. They're like, Dad, you know. And I love that they get on me. I think it's really important. I need to clean it up and be better. But why was that so important to you?
It was just a choice. I felt that cursing, which I do plenty of, by the way, don't get me wrong, but I just didn't want to put that in their lives. I wanted them to find the words, how they want to express themselves, and I wanted to model that myself. And there's been times where it's been tough to not do that, but I've been able to use my words and not have to curse. And it's just one of those things where it was a streak. And streaks are very powerful. When you're on a streak, you don't want to break that streak. So when my kids are 17 and 15 now, my son is 17, is a senior in high school. My daughter's a sophomore. They hear all this stuff, but I still decided that, they're not going to hear it from me. And I've never heard them say a bad word. So, you tell me if you think there's a correlation. I'm sure they say it sometimes, but they know they know because of model behavior that it's not something you use on a regular basis, especially in front of other people, especially adults. And I've heard some of their friends, not so much their close friends. I look at them, I'm like, seriously? Like, that's how you talk to people? But I don't think my kids do that. And again, every father or parent thinks his kids don't do this and that. I'm sure they say stuff, but I would say it's a minimum level. But, I want to go back to that real quick with the streak. I think streaks are incredibly underrated. They're so valuable. And Trent, I'm sure you've been on a bunch of winning streaks in your pro career, but that's the thing. It builds momentum. It builds a life of its own, and you don't want to break it. It's probably the worst feeling going back to zero, going to the end of the line. And so again, that's just one small example for me where I didn't curse. And so I'm not going to start doing it now. And I did the same thing with my wife. I tried to act the same way when we met to today, being married for 21 years, and it does get easier over time. I find a streak of any sort. I had a workout streak last year. I was trying to break my old workout streak, which was 38 days. I went on a 38-day workout streak, and I was so proud of myself at the time, I almost put up a social media post. I went away, broke the streak, decided to start a new one. So let me break 38. What ended up happening was I was like, let me get to 100. Let me see if I can do that. I got to 100, then I got to 150, and it kept going. And it didn't get harder. It got easier because I was like, there's no friggin' way that I'm stopping my streak on this day or that day. And the hardest day I had was a Jewish holiday called Yom Kippur, where you can't eat or drink for like 26 hours. Yeah. I've never in my life worked out on Yom Kippur, and I was planning to break the streak that day. And I did the math. It was day 200. I'm like, there's no way I'm ending this streak at 199. Yeah. So fasted all day, didn't drink, had a huge break the fast meal. And about an hour later, I'm running around my neighborhood trying not to barf because I wasn't going to let the streak go. And make a long story short, the goal became a year. I hit that goal, but then I couldn't stop. I was like, the streak is live. I don't want to stop it. So I ended up stopping it at 388. But ironically, Trent, that was exactly 10 times the length of my longest streak. So I was 38, went to 388. And so you talk about 10X a lot and what you do. And that was just a small local anecdotal example that I did as a regular guy. And it blew me away. And to this day, I think about that and the power we have to do what we think maybe we can't do. But we're so capable of amazing things. And we have to stop underrating ourselves.
I love it, man. I've had a couple great streaks, right? Sports. And, I would almost equate streak with confidence, right? Because when you see with someone on a streak, like they are confident. about something in their lives in this area, like health and fitness. You have a swag. I did 75 hard a couple times. And man, you just feel like, man, I don't know if you do it. I'm working out twice a day for 75 days. Like it's real, and it's painful, and it's super inconvenient. It's not horribly like tough on your body is what you find. Like you find out like I can do this, and I love it, and it's not killing me. Like this is incredible, and I feel good. I did it with juicing. I did that and lost a lot of weight, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've never felt better. And I screwed up that fast. With kids, right? Little kids, and we're running through some late night, and I got some fast food, and oh my gosh, I gotta tell you, as a health and fitness guy, Joel, when you get away from all the crap of food, I remember and I won't use the national franchise, but fast food. I bit into a fry and burger, and you'd have thought I poured a salt shaker in my mouth. It was so flippin' horrible after you'd cleanse that all from your body, right?
Right.
And it's amazing what we can desensitize to, right? Because after you see that, you're like, man, I can't go back to this stuff. It's like you and I eating our candy from when we were kids, like those circus peanuts. It's like, why would I ever eat this? Like who ate these things? And you're like, this is awful because we haven't done it for a long time. I really want to dive into the book here. And you mentioned it. Before I do that, Joel Steele's incredible, and this book is amazing. And if you want a free copy of this book, I can get you one. But you have to be an entrepreneur, and you have to be probably in West Michigan or get to West Michigan on November 15th, where we will be all attending a Grand Rapids Gold game, EOS Michigan. We'll invite some other chapters and such. But if you own a business, you're interested in knowing more about EO, and you want to come meet Joel personally, free ticket to the ball game. We'll have a great little meal up there, and we'll hear Joel talk. It'll be very social. It'll be great for families and enjoying Joel Steele and the message. And, of course, everybody who comes gets a book. So that's pretty awesome. So that is November 15th.
Yeah, excited. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for everything that time of year. I love being out in Western Michigan. I love coming to see the team anytime I can. I love seeing you. I'm excited to meet some people from your chapter. And I just got back from the EO kind of national convention, NERV, in Atlantic City, and just met so many great people from other chapters. And that's another passion of mine, Trent, is just meeting interesting, good quality people. And you never know where any conversation can lead. But I'm excited to join you guys, share some things from the book, and really, like I said, just trying to help other people light up their own lives and people around them. It's like, you go to a concert, everyone has their phones up. Used to have lighters, but they have their phones up. The more lights that are shining, the brighter the place is. I mean, if I'm just holding up my light, it's not doing anything. It's got to be a whole bunch of us lighting up the world if we want to make it a brighter place. And what a time that the world needs some positive brightness.
Amen on that, brother. Amen on that. I appreciate that. Let's get into the 3 Ps, right? This is a huge part of your book that, I think everyone can identify with these 3 words and realizes that I think these 3 words, like most things, very simple, not easy. Right? It kind of reminds me, Joel, of the Bible, right? Like, hey, 10 commandments. Isn't that, it's so simple. Like, well, it's not easy. People keep mucking it up, right? Like I do too, right? And let's talk about those 3 Ps real quick.
Yeah. It's right in the subtitle. Potential, right? Because that's where it starts. You have to recognize your potential and the fact that you're not maxing it out. I'm sorry, but no one's fully maxing out their potential, because it keeps on getting higher. Passion is the secret ingredient. You will be successful, you will be fulfilled, you'll be happy if you can have passion in your life. And look, you might be listening to this thinking, well, I hate my job, right? I'm in a marriage where, I'm not happy. My kids are driving me nuts. I get that, right? We all have stuff. Everybody has stuff. But you can still have passion. You don't have to be passionate about everything you're doing. But if you have a job that you hate from 9 to 5, you can still have passion outside of that. Maybe you can have passion partly within it. Maybe you can plot to have passion in your life more. And then the last one is purpose. Purpose is that last P, and that's why I saved it for last, the final third part of the book, because I think we all want to be living not just with purpose, but a purpose, right? You have a purpose and you're living it. We talked about the book. You don't read it, you live it. You live purpose, right? I'm here for this. This is why I'm here. When I was doing the book, everyone said, who's your target market? Who's it for? And similar to that, everyone has to sort of give themselves a mission statement. Like companies have a mission statement. What's your mission statement? What are you doing? Because if you don't know what you're doing, how in the world do you know if you're making progress towards your goal? How do you know if you're being the best version of you if you don't know what that is? And I talk about in the book, A to B, real simple. Right now you're at point A. And if you're like a lot of people, that's not where you want to be. You want to be at point B. And point B is figuring out who you are, what you want to be, who you want to be, and then plotting how to get there.
Yes.
So those are the 3 Ps, and I just love talking about them. I could talk about each one of them for days on end, which we will not do today. But you're right, Trent. It is simple, and it's something. Look, these are not superpowers. These are things that we all possess, things that we can all do, and that's something about the book that I'm really proud about. Is I'm not getting up on my soapbox. I'm not talking about I did these things that you'll never be able to do. Look at me. These are things that are extremely relatable. Everything I've done is extremely relatable. And again, I'm not wanting people to go out and do exactly what I did, but their own version of what I did, how they can do it in their life, whether it's going from failure to success, going from good to great, whatever it is, getting in shape, because my background is fitness, finance, and pro sports ownership. Those are the 3 things that I do. And I apply potential, passion, and purpose to all of them and think about it all the time. And I don't drive in the car listening to music and too many podcasts other than yours. But I am listening to myself and my thoughts. I'm having conversations with myself. I'm asking myself, am I doing what I should be doing? Am I doing what I want to be doing? Because I love results so much that I will make any level of sacrifice to make sure those results come to life. And again, it's understanding what my bigger purpose is. So, if you've not thought about your purpose, for, let's say 15 minutes a day, let's quantify it, 15 minutes a day, quiet time, first thing in the morning, lunch break, in the car, going for a walk, whatever. You need to do that because you don't know if you're on track if you don't know what the track is or where it is and what it looks like.
Right. Yeah. And I like this. Like, I like how you use, so I use like, hey, here's a current reality. Here's a future reality, right? And there's a line, that's going to go in between these 2 things that's going to be on that line where I bring my practical application, my passion, and my purpose should all be on that line. As you alluded earlier, we kind of go a little up and down off that. We don't go straight line all the time. We'd love to go straight line. But what I like about what you just said, when people are aligned with passion and purpose, and the practicality, you can get guys like Joel Steele, Trent, Clark, you get mentors. People will help you the practical of how to get there, okay? That is not something you even have to know. People will help you do that. The passion and purpose to me is something that I think comes back into what people don't know about you, which is the modeling of a behavior. Because, I think like I want people to see a light in me, right? And I always say, I hope they see that light. And if I have to, I'll use words. But I should be modeling that light every day, and I shouldn't have to use words. And I love that about when people are on their practical journey, headed for a direction that they know where they're going. They have passion about that. They love that. They have skills. They know it. They enjoy this thing. They see it. And it's part of their ultimate purpose of giving back, being involved, whatever your purpose is, making a difference in the world, making it better. Listen, that alignment will come together so well. And if you're very clear about that, you won't go very far off the line. You'll get there and you'll be like, hey, when I get on this line, oh, this doesn't serve my purpose. Oh, that's not a practical way to go. Let me get back on the line. And you won't have these crazy characters up and downs. And I think that's what you are going to get out of Life Switch. You're going to find a way to stay the line.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah, that's great. That's really well said. And really what I was going to say, it's right on the same line. But you think about boxing matches, or again, a basketball game, baseball game. When you have that vision, that purpose in mind, right? We're going to win this game. We're going to win this division. We're going to win this championship or this match. You fixate on that, right? You B to A, meaning you believe to achieve, and you fixate on that this is possible. I'm going to do this. You remove doubt from the equation, and you might get knocked around. You might get knocked down. But look at some of these epic sporting events where, a guy's in a boxing match getting beat up on. He's got the bloody eye and the bloody ears, and he just hangs in long enough and delivers a knockout blow because he summoned something within him that he just had waiting for the right moment. It was close enough to achieving that goal when the time was right. The switch flipped and they made it happen. So again, pro sports, you stay within it. Like the Nuggets, when the Nuggets won the title in 2023, they had a really bad first half, and they were down, fortunately, by just under 10 points or so. And they recalibrated, said, we didn't come here to play in the finals. We came here to win the finals, excuse me. And when they recalibrated and got back all on their focused mission and their purpose that season, they steamrolled the Heat and they won that second half and they won the title. And they won it at 4-1. They're not going to wait. Well, we've got other opportunities. This is what we came here to do. And damn it, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do it tonight because why would we not? And that's the thing. If you have a goal, set your sights on that, set your GPS on that goal, and start working your way towards there now. At the EO meeting, they were talking about a 10-year plan. I'm thinking, you know what? Forget that. How about a 10-day plan? Because if you can do a 10-day plan and then another 10-day plan, you put yourself on a pretty nice streak. Yeah. And as we talked about, streaks can take on a life of their own. So, it has to be something that you believe in, something you're passionate about, something you can start doing today and or tomorrow. Make progress. Life goes by quickly. You don't have days to waste to not make progress towards your goal. And that could even just be, again, having a day and time to think. You don't need to go out and lift heavy objects, but at least think, right? You're building a house. Who builds a house and just buys some material and goes out and builds it? No, you've got to step back. You've got to plan. You've got to design. You've got to figure out to the site. You get the physical materials. You start to physically put it together. But everything starts in your head, from your head down. So whatever you're trying to do, you've got to realize it's coming from here, and then everything else you're physically capable of comes from there. But mental should drive the physical, not the other way around.
I love that. Start with your blueprint, right? And so I love this. This book. I mean, amazing. Can't wait to read it. And we talked about on Winners Find a Way. I love the quote: "Winners, when shown data that they're losing, find a way to win." And we talked offline a little bit about, man, you're such an advocate for no one quits, man. You do not quit in this life. And that's part of the perseverance of this entrepreneur environment, right? There's a mindset there that says well, I'm not quitting. I just found 3 ways that it didn't work, right? So here's the 4th, here's the 5th, here's the 6th, right? We keep moving on it. Walk us through a time where you really had to figure it out.
I mean, I'll just cut right through it. I mean, the crux of this book, the climax, this book was a movie. The main event is when I had a restaurant. I had a healthy fast food restaurant. I started that business out of college. So I'm a young adult in the city of Philadelphia, which is always one of the top 5 fattest cities in the country. And I decided to open up my restaurant there. And I ended up opening up a small chain. I had 3 stores, and it ended up becoming an epic failure. And up until that point, I was on a streak of winning in almost everything that I was doing for a while. So I built a lot of confidence. Like you said, Trent, I thought I could do anything. And I did. Opening the restaurant was a huge success. But then it started to go downhill and it fell apart. And my mind was sort of broken. It was like, this doesn't compute. How can this be? I'm supposed to win. That's what I do. I find a way to win. I couldn't find a way to win. And what ultimately happened was I didn't want to give up on a great life, right? I didn't wake up as a young child and say, I want to have a restaurant. I want to be a successful restaurateur. I really wanted to have a business and a great life and again, recognize my potential, passion, and purpose. So I kept all those 3Ps, but they just had to shift, right? That season was over, right? It was almost like time for a new sport for me. And I got into financial services. But when I did, I was still in my young 20s, my early 20s, but I was buried in close to $500,000 in debt. And there were some days where I didn't know what to do because no single activity was going to fix the problem.
Yeah.
And I remember my father-in-law at the time had prescribed me different antidepressants and anxiety meds. And I remember I had 2 bottles sitting there to choose from. And I remember being like, you know what? This hurts so bad, but the answer to my problems isn't in either one of these bottles. It's in here. Like, I need to feel this because this failure is either going to crush me or it's going to become a launch pad for me to go to the next thing and find success. And ultimately, getting into financial services unleashed me. I had to be successful if I was going to ever have a glimpse of the life that I dreamed of. And so I had success fast and furious. And 22 years later, it's continued. I've built an amazing business. It's doubled again, several times over. And it's just become a great thing. But I wouldn't have had that success, Trent, if I didn't have the massive failure leading up to it. I might have done well, but I would not have done as well as I did, which ultimately led to pro sports ownership, led to me being able to be at every event for my kids because of the flexibility of my career, led me to be able to build my business and become an author and speaker. So, my question is, why can't you have it all? And the answer is you can. If you design it right, if you have the right motivation, right, the passion, the potential, you have the potential. You just have to believe it. And when you believe it, you can start to achieve it.
Well, and I like that, what your all is not Trent's all. It's not Joel's all. What's your all? Like, do you want to spend and have 3 vacation homes and have your family meet 4 times a year? Like, do that. Like, that's fabulous. Like, whatever your all is, be okay with that. And don't, and this is probably the biggest thing I get out of EO, and it's a hard one, is don't play the comparison game. What Joel Steele wants and has isn't what Trent Clark wants and has. And it's okay. Like, we both have interested in different passions, and we have a lot of commonalities, actually, probably more so than any, but like we have different things, and it's okay. So this is a great show. Everybody, thank you for joining us on Winners Find a Way. Check out Joel Steele. Joel, where can they find you?
You can go to bookjoelsteele.com. Don't forget the E at the end of Steele, Steele, but go to bookjoelsteele.com or just Google me, whatever works. But you'll see the website, the book, the topics that I speak about. I'm excited to come see you, Trent, soon.
Yep.
But I love doing what I'm doing. Trent, we talked about this. I don't do it for the money. I do it to try to make a difference. And it's exactly why you're doing what you're doing as well. Difference to our families, difference to total strangers. But it makes us feel alive. And if you're going to live, you might as well maximize your life and thrive, not just survive.
I love this. For everybody else, thank you. Check out Joel, always on LinkedIn as well. Some of the big things today, gang, like the 3 Ps, being very practical, passion, and purpose. Big message of life switch. We heard about that switch that goes on in our focus. Believe to achieve, B to A, getting A to B. So of course, never quit. Don't quit. Keep moving. Keep redesigning, keep going back to where you really want to spend your time. So for Joel Steele and Trent Clark, thank you for joining us. And as always, we are on here every Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. Winners Find a Way show on LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live, and of course, the Leadershipity YouTube channel. We drop our podcast every Friday morning on all the major networks. So check us out there, and we'll see you next time as winners